Hello Internet, so nice to see you. Today I'm gonna show you how to do the impossible on guitar. Lately on YouTube I've been receiving a number of comments saying that some things on the guitar are completely impossible, outside the realm of human possibilities. Uh, so let's go and see what people think it's impossible, and let's see how we can solve this in a very short amount of time.
I realize that what Mr. Music Theory for Guitar is telling us is that there is no easy way to know this stuff, and you have to put a lot of work into it to get anything out of it.
That's a question on learning the notes on the fretboard. And let me tell you, there is a very easy way to learn all the notes on your fretboard. That's impossible! It's not impossible. And the very easy way is practice the exercises in that video 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes a day. It's not impossible. Everybody who said that this is impossible is because they haven't tried.
Before you know, it happens a lot more slowly for some of us than others. I've owned guitars for over 20 years and I can't do this.
I am fond to say that when you practice something, the result happens before you know it. I am fond of that because it's true. If you practice something, if you practice anything on your guitar and you practice the correct way and you practice consistently, results happen before you know it. There is a problem though. It's not enough to own a guitar. And I know I may be sarcastic here, but you can own a guitar for 20 years. If you don't practice it consistently and correctly, there are those two conditions, consistently and correctly, you're not going anywhere. Now, why? Because if you don't practice consistently, okay, people always try to practice at high intensity. So they try to get the hardest thing they can play, the fastest thing they can play, the more complex thing that they can play. That's a recipe for disaster. Scale down the intensity, practice the easy stuff, but practice them consistently every day, few minutes, but every day, and this is gonna take you far. I know, this is the advice that nobody wants to hear, and an advice that nobody gives you on YouTube, because I know that half of you right now are turning off the video, because that's not what you want to hear. But that's the reality. Few minutes a day of practicing on every specific topic, and keep it easy, and you'll go wherever you want to go. And that's consistency. And then correctly, okay? You have to do those movements in a correct way, in a relaxed way, and practice the correct way. There are a lot of things going on into correct practice. You guys can write in the comment if you want suggestion, or I can give you contacts with other guitar teachers who do specialize in guitar technique. I personally recommend my friend Mike Filipov, okay, who's great on technique. You follow the advice, you practice consistently and correctly, nothing can stop you, and the result will come before you even know it.
In my experience, vibrato cannot be practiced. It's a personal trait.
In my experience, vibrato is a personal trait, and like every personal trait, can be practiced and perfected. Nobody has a great vibrato from the outset, simply because the motion that we need to have to create a good vibrato in my opinion, of course, okay, are not natural. You practically never move the hand in that specific way with that amount of strength pulling on something. So you need to practice it. Once your hand is conditioned to do this movement, and you can do this movement reliably without too much effort because you know how to do it, then your personality will shine through. There is no other way. I mean, it's you cannot play a vibrato that you don't feel. Okay, it's not gonna happen. But you have to practice for that. Okay, no more no less than anything else. Okay, it's like I don't know. You can learn how to draw. It's a personal expression, but every time you study how to draw something, okay, you'll draw better. You can learn how to drive your car. It's a personal expression. Different people drive in different ways. Angry people drive in angry ways. Calm people drive in calm ways, and so on and so forth. But of course, you are not born knowing how to drive a car, and you're not born knowing how to make how to make a vibrato, essentially. Okay, so it is a personal expression. That doesn't mean you cannot train it, and it doesn't mean that you have it at the outset when you start learning guitar. studying vibrato, making a vibrato better, it's not impossible. It's actually very natural. It's what I do every day, guys. And in my experience, I see people that when they get the exercises on how to practice a vibrato, video in, you can find the link of the video on top right, but when you guys get that, everybody improves really fast, and then they get the vibrato they actually feel, not the limited thing that the hand can do at the beginning.
There are tools specifically designed to stretch the tendons in the hand so you can actually do the Spock sign, etc. Most people cannot stretch their fingers in the way you do in this video. Finger stretching tools are a lazy person's means to do everything you demonstrated.
Many person cannot stretch their hands this way. So are you telling me that it's impossible for those people to stretch their hands this way? Well, let me tell you one thing. When I started, I couldn't. Now, before you go and get hurt, do not use any of those infernal tools, okay, that stretch your fingers, or those incredibly horrible things that with all the springs where you strengthen your fingers by pushing on the springs. Those things are more likely to hurt your hands than doing anything else, okay? The stretching of your fingers, like the Spock position and everything else I show in that video, in the video on finger independence, it needs to be done under your hand-on power. At the beginning, nothing will happen. At the beginning, you will be there and will try to separate those fingers and nothing will happen. You can use the other hand to help you separate those fingers and just hold them in position. Like I said at the beginning of this video, not intensity, but consistency, okay? Consistency, not intensity. You should not start doing these 100 times a day the first day. You're gonna get hurt. Just get there in position and hold it for 10 seconds, and then do the same tomorrow and over. Before you know it, you're gonna gain control of the fingers and you're gonna be able to move them in ways you never thought possible before, okay? Like independently or semi-independently. But you need to move your hands under their own power, otherwise you risk hurting them, okay? You cannot have a machine or a tool pushing those fingers for you in strange ways. You're gonna get hurt. It will take some time, but good news, there are two pieces of good news and really no bad news. The first piece of good news is that you can play guitar even before you have all this kind of finger independence. This helps, but it's not necessary. And the second is, it doesn't matter how tangled are all your tendons right now. I mean, unless you got an injury and you're paralyzed. But except for that, it doesn't matter how much you think the tendons do not work for you, those fingers do not move this way. You have to build it up gradually. And when you build it up gradually, consistently every day, you're gonna go way further than you thought possible, and it's gonna happen before you know it. Just do it.
Great. Yet another man with man-sized hands, completely ignoring the fact that those of us with double X chromosomes have tiny hands compared to even small men's hands. My hands are the size of a child's, and no, that doesn't give me some advantage while playing. I physically cannot reach the strings because my palm is too short to wrap around the neck of the guitar. That is the measurement that matters, and I'm sick to death of men gaslighting me about it.
So you're telling me I am handsplaining guitar? It's possible. I'm not saying no. I haven't seen all the hands of all the people in the world. But my hands are fairly small for being an adult Caucasian male, or Italian technically. I mean, they're not really that big. Practically everybody I know that plays an instrument that has bigger than mine. I mean, I can show you. Camille, can you hold your hand out? Just show your hand on screen. Good. I mean, I don't know if you can see the difference, but Camille's hands are giant respect to mine. Okay, so... Thank you, Camille. Camille is the guy reading the comments, by the way. Okay, so, and I've taught a number of people that have small hands, okay? Some of them were males, some of them were girls, some of them were kids. I've seen a lot of kids just sitting down, taking it easy, and gradually, consistently getting to be able to play a full-size guitar with no problem. Now you say in your comment that you cannot get your hand to wrap around the neck. You should not have your hand wrap around the neck. The correct position that I explained in that video is to put the thumb behind the neck rather than wrapping it around. If you wrap it around, your fingers are not gonna get any extension. This is good for other things like doing vibrato, okay? Or bands or this kind of thing, but whenever you want extension, okay, you have to put your thumb has to go down, okay, this way. Your wrist has to bend a little bit, and then you can get more extension. I explained in detail in that video. But again, who am I to know? Maybe for some reason you cannot do that. Maybe it's truly impossible for you. Maybe the genetic lottery was completely unfair to you, and your fingers are not only small, but they have no lateral movement, and there is no way you can do that. Let's assume that. Here's my recommendation. Get a 3/4 guitar. That's still an adult guitar. I know it doesn't look like an adult guitar. It's a 3/4. The length of the strings, it's 3/4 the normal length of a guitar, of a full-size guitar. The frets are closer by, the strings are slightly closer by too, and so this is way easier to play for people with small hands, okay? So if hand size is a problem for you, and all the advice I give you, it's completely null and void and unusable, and who knows, maybe even sexist, I don't know, get a smaller guitar. If you really want to play, nothing can stand in your way. Get a smaller guitar and learn how to play on a smaller guitar. And maybe later try again on a bigger guitar and see if your hands are more agile, and then you can play it. But if not, no problem. This small guitar sounds beautifully anyway. There's no problem. Nothing should stop you if you really want to play. If you practice gradually and consistently every day, you're gonna get there before you know it.